to begin? Are you ready to take it? You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm good.
You ready to rock? You ready to rock for a show? You ready to get this party started? Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Ken. Let's get it going. Welcome to week 122. Count it, week 122 of Shark Sports Radio. Alongside of me is Andrew George. He goes by Ticket. It's yours truly, Mark Loisel Jr., aka Shark, right here in the Ocean State. Thank you all for taking a dive into the tank with us tonight, live here on X, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook. You can find us everywhere and anywhere at any point and any time. You can always tune in, use our Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, and or Spotify app. Check us out on X at SSR34 _ YouTube at the Shark Sports Radio channel, Facebook at Shark Sports Radio, Facebook page, TikTok at Shark Sports Radio. Again, we're everywhere. This is what we do. We promote the show at its finest. Now, to promote Underdog, play with the promo code Shark Sports, okay? Ticket can definitely attest to this. The other night, it was home run derby time, and I was feeling it in my bones. And I said, you know what? After a nice round of golf, what are we going to do? We're going to make a play in the home run derby. And my friends, I put on $8 on Underdog. And let me tell you, as I find the picks as we speak, it was 99-12 for the earnings. I did higher on Junior Cabanero with 17.5 round one home runs. Byron Buxton higher on the 18.5 round one home runs. O'Neal Cruz higher.
We were talking about that, and Buxton had to hit like 5 or 6 in the bonus round and got it done for you.
Yes, he got the dub. And then O'Neal Cruz higher than 469.5, longest home run distance. And James Wood lower than 20.5 round one home runs hit. So, yeah, I was shaking in my boots. I was texting Ticket here, and I'm like, there is no way I'm winning this. Byron Buxton has 8 with a minute left. There's no shot he's going to get over 18.5 home runs in round one. But he did. And it suited us best. It allowed us to get comfortable with the home run derby and where it stood. So we're really excited, to make that happen. And Ticket, I'm sure, you had some plays left and right as well.
I did. Unfortunately, I was screwed because the tiebreaker between Rooker and Raleigh, which, by the way, this is why baseball sucks. And we're going to get into it when we talk about the All-Star game. But,
yep,
we're at the Derby. They hit this. The fact that you have a tiebreaker alone is, to go distance, kind of stupid. But they happen to hit the same distance foot home run, 471, Rooker and I don't want to Cal Raleigh. I'm not going to call him by his nickname because I feel like I had to hear that a million times over a 2-day stretch between Fox's broadcast of the Derby and the All-Star game. So Cal Raleigh, instead of doing, you would think a swing off, right? 3 outs, first to 3 outs, or you get 10 pitches, whatever. Perfect opportunity to cause excitement. No. Oh, we're going to go to a decimal point, tenths of a foot higher or further that Cal Raleigh hit his than Brent Rooker, so Cal Raleigh advances. He should have been eliminated. Brent Rooker was going to knock him out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree. Now, that's outside of Underdog, right? You're talking more about the All-Star game facilities, right?
I've got some bones to pick with with Major League Baseball, but yeah,
sure,
Underdog,
sure.
Obviously, fantastic app. We love them. Obviously, Shark has more reason to love them as of recent. Got some scroll. So Shark, great picks.
Yeah, I got some dinero. I was happy with it. And I haven't really been using it too often, to be honest with you. I've been dabbling. Yeah, I mean, you're feeling it. Home run derby again. Good round of golf. You're feeling it. So it was worth the cost. and the reward was high, as we all know. But we do got to get into MLB second half expectations. We do have to talk about the All-Star game, as you mentioned. And we also got to talk about this MLB trades online because there are rumors galore happening right now on both sides of the AL and NL. And so let's start off with our feedback in regards to the All-Star game. How'd you feel about the new setup with the extra innings?
I mean, it did create excitement, created some buzz. I'd rather that than like have the Ghost Runner on, which I know obviously way different format than this game doesn't mean anything. To me,
Sure.
it was wild that you had a home run swing off. You have a perfect opportunity, by the way, to create as much buzz as you could have for Major League Baseball in quite some time. The two managers, Shark, the AL staff being the
Mm-hmm.
Yankees, NL staff, the Dodgers, just met in the
Yep.
World Series.
Yeah.
Shark, if I had to ask you who are the two most dynamic players, the two biggest stars in baseball today, who would you say those guys are?
Aaron Judge and maybe Bobby Witt.
Oh, but so National
Like,
National League.
oh yeah. So National League. I mean, Francisco Lindor, I love. Like, if are we talking home runs? Are we
I'm
talking
talking
all
about
around?
okay,
Like,
so home runs too, but like the biggest star in baseball worldwide is Shohei Ohtani, and the fact that this is a contest not involving a home run swing off, not involving Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge is criminal. Criminal. Looks like we lost El Capitan here. You.
My room, it went out. In my wife's office, it didn't. So here we are. It's the world of technology. We're still live here. So yeah, we were we were discussing love going off air during a live segment.
It's all good. Yes. So you had
we
answered.
were talking about All-Star. Yes.
Yeah, you were answering my question. You know, the biggest stars in baseball is the All-Star game, right? We have a home run swing off to determine the winner of the All-Star game. The two coaching staffs, managers, Yankees, Dodgers, they just won the World Series last year. The two biggest stars, respectively, I would say in baseball, like you said, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Both are also known for hitting bombs, and this is a home run derby swing off. How does baseball not step in? Can you imagine for the All-Star game last round? You know, they had the guys go three swings each. Can you imagine to determine the All-Star game? You got Aaron Judge versus Shohei Ohtani.
I would love that.
And instead it was Jonathan Aranda and Kyle Stowers out there swinging. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really understand that, but I also think, is there like a rule in play that you are not able to have, if guys are subbed out throughout the game, like, are they able to come back into the home run derby
I hear
session?
I hear you on that. This is also an All-Star
I don't like the rule. I hate the rule, but I just wonder if that plays a major factor.
This was the first time we've even seen this. This is the first year they implemented it. Surprise, surprise! It's now the first time that it comes into play. But
yeah,
I feel like if you're Major League, how do you not step in and be like, all right, I mean, these are the two biggest stars we have. These are the two teams that met in the World Series for the two biggest markets. It's a no-brainer. Judge Ohtani.
It's a no-brainer.
How are they not involved?
Yep. They're not involved because of the rules of baseball. It's always been that case. So take it like MLB has always tried to do too much, and yeah, exactly. But I think it's stupid. I think, like, I agree with you when it comes to Judge and Shohei Ohtani. You're talking about two of the greatest, baseball players of our generation right now, currently. And if I look at like other guys that are in the mix, like, yeah, Kyle Schwarber can hit bombs away, right? And Brent Rooker's had a great year. And Pete Alonso, we've seen what he can do, a part of the show in the home run derby for years past. But I think the way that they have that set up with the rules is once guys are out, they're out. And you're not able to bring them back into overtime. So
Bobby Witt couldn't swing instead of Jonathan Aranda?
I thought it was stupid. Bobby Witt should have been one of the guys. But for whatever reason, your boy Aaron Boone on the other side.
Well, that's the only logical explanation for it.
We got to decide what to do here. So we're not going to have Aaron Judge swing out of his shoes and maybe something happens. So why not put a Tampa Bay Ray in and maybe he does something to cost himself for the rest of the year. But they don't think like that. But I'm just saying, to avoid injury, avoid risk, it's what you do. It's how it is. But I did like the feel of the All-Star game was really cool. Like, shout out to my buddy Mike Geeman. He works for Underdog. He was actually in Atlanta. He got to see the Hank Aaron ceremony live, which is awesome. Cool. It seems like it's latest and greatest of what they're trying to do when they have great memories in the sport of baseball. The history behind it, it's incredible. It was a great show for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes long. So it was like the perfect amount. Atlanta put on a show. I love their jerseys. I really liked the format of the home run part of it when it was a tie game, but they could have honestly did some things in order to stir up a little more drama and have a little more, prolific players playing when it's all said and done after 9 innings. But we all know that sometimes what we ask is not what we get, especially with baseball. But
very cool, though.
But how do you? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I thought obviously Skeens coming out and doing his thing early on was was good. I thought it was a very funny stat. I saw that Skeens got 2 runs as his run support, and the one in the inning he pitched, which actually is
Yeah,
higher than the last 5
higher.
outings he's had of run support combined total with the Pirates. He's gotten 1 run in the last 5 games with Pittsburgh. So hilarious. But
And I was just gonna say too. I was talking about this before we got on the pod here, and it sucks that my internet went out because I had so much to talk about right at the start. Here's one thing I want to get off of my chest. What last night at Gillette when Chris Martin caught the couple, I guess you could say, Andy Byron, and
yes.
then you had who's the other girl involved?
Kristen
Cabot.
Yes, Kristen Cabot. Yeah,
So
head of HR.
yeah, HR. This is what irks me the most is Andy Byron went to Providence College.
He is a Friar.
He's a Friar.
He
And
had Cooley way, baby.
it's a habit. It's a habit with the Cooley way. And so shout out to I think it was Joey
By the way,
Parmigiano.
he recently released a
He
statement.
actually he did. Okay.
Yeah.
What was that
Putting the
statement?
blame on Coldplay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, blame it
He
on
goes-
Chris Martin for calling you out for cheating on your wife. That's
By the way, if they just acted like a
that's real.
normal, if they didn't do anything, they just stood there. They were, was holding her, and that was it. They smile. That's it. The moment's over. Nobody knows anything. The only reason
No,
this blew up because they acted how they did. Otherwise, it's just a
Exactly.
normal crowd shot.
you were caught red-handed. You know what you're doing, and like I don't know if it's planned. I don't know. Like it's just not like a was it astronomer CEO, right?
Yeah.
That just shows up on the jumbotron. Like it sometimes just doesn't happen like that. But you could consider it
Also, the
bad
internet
luck.
was
But
very
hey,
quick to figure out the players in this. That's for sure.
It was. But I just want to bring in the fact that the guy was a Friar, Ed Cooley. I think, rubbed off some unwanted skills in how to do that, right? And, Cooley is just a shell of himself, and so is Andy Byron. So I think he got what he deserved. I know, like, personal relationships is one thing, but having a relationship with your coworker while cheating on your wife is another. It's a huge, and I mean, Ticket, you're in HR, so
I am.
you know what it's like.
It was the talk of the office today for several reasons.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
But
for good reasons.
Yeah.
And
one more
it
note,
stirs up drama. Chris Martin, again, shout out to him. He called it out. He was like, "You're out of here. You're out." Like,
listen.
if you're gonna do that, get caught. Good luck to you.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, like I said, you play it off like it's nothing, and nothing happens. This is not being discussed. This is not being discussed live on the Shark Sports Radio podcast, and it's not being put out on social media for everybody to see.
Yeah.
By the way, you mentioned the Friars. I
bad.
saw John Rothstein, very unrelated. No, John Rothstein went to practice yesterday. He liked what he saw. He thinks that the additions are, making a markable improvement. He sees this team, and I respect John. I think John Rothstein is one of the best in college basketball space. In terms of coverage and how he covers the sport. I think Rothstein's great. Shout out John Rothstein. If you ever want to join us, we'll see.
Shout out. Shout him out.
He says the Friars. He thinks they could be top of the big, like in the top half of the Big East. Probably going to see another 7 or 8 wins at least.
I'm iffy. I gotta see it. I think the Kim English factor. We've seen it last year. right? Devin Carter had an unbelievable year 2 years ago. Josh Oduro. I got to see more. I think the addition to Ryan Gomes is going to help them tremendously. He was a part of Team Elite, and so like he was coaching like heavy NBA talent, and like the Thompson brothers were in the mix there. Like they had some really really good players, that came through those ranks. And for me, I gotta understand. Okay, Jason Edwards, real good player. Jalen Sellers,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Oswin, we know what he could bring to the table. Jameer Jones, one of the best, shooting guards / small forwards in the country. But they got to put it together, right? Like it's always going to be, like Ed Cooley, great recruiter. Oh, Kim English, great recruiter, but can you coach? And that's always going to be the way the ball rolls in Friartown until they show up. And Ryan Gomes is a nice addition, as I mentioned. He's going to be the key factor, the catalyst to that team making a run. And so here we are talking about Friars basketball. We at the table, but we got a little sidetrack, and that's okay. But again, just to touch upon it, Friartown, we just got to be better. We just got to be better in all facets, on the court, off the court, reputation. We got to make sure we're clean. Yeah, please be clean. So, moving on to MLB second half expectations. I know everybody's like, oh, you guys just talk ball. That's all you do. No, we don't. We know our shit when it comes to the MLB. We know our shit when it comes to the NFL. We go by season. And yes, the NBA draft was our baby, but now we move on to the MLB second half because it's what matters the most. It's 81 games now to go remaining in the season. And let me tell you, if you were to tell me that the Red Sox were going to go on a 10-game winning streak heading into All-Star break and then also be 7 games over 500, I think you're nuts. I would have thought that they would have had at least, 2 or 3 games over 500, maybe off and on throughout the season, but I think they would pick it up in the second half. They kind of done it in the middle of the season, which is good for me, not good for Ticket, the Yankees fan here, but it makes things interesting, right? And I think the AL East, from top to bottom, competition level is high. There's going to be 3 teams in the mix for wild card and a playoff berth when it comes to the MLB playoffs, right? So you got the Toronto Blue Jays, you got the New York Yankees, and you got the Boston Red Sox. And you can throw in the Tampa Bay Rays too. Baltimore has had one hell of a bad season. But when you look at, I guess, Ticket with the AL side of things, I guess what pokes at you in regards to a team, that has to be scary moving forward to be a possible contender?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's easy to look at the AL East and go to them. I mean, there were talks about, obviously the Orioles are in a tough spot, but like the fact that we've seen the Rays and the Blue Jays play to the level that they have, especially lately, the Red Sox, since the Devers move, have been outstanding. I will say a lot of that I think has to do with the schedule. You play the Rockies and the Nationals, you're going to win games, but Angels,
Yep.
You're going to win games. So, I think a team that I would look out for in the second half of the American League would be the Kansas City Royals, and I think a lot of it probably depends on what they're going to do at the deadline. But this is a team that's gotten really great starting pitching. Seth Lugo, who, by the way, I don't, for whatever it's worth, he finished second, obviously a very distant second to Tariq Skubal last year in the Cy Young voting. But in 50 starts with the Royals, he's got these last 2 years or season and a half. His ERA is like 2.8, something ridiculous like that. Chris Bubik has been really good for them. The one thing they need is a power bat. They need some pop from the outfield. They are dead last in Major League Baseball, and home runs produced by their outfielders. They only have 15 total combined from their outfielders. I think if they had a power bat, that could be a team with their starting pitching, Bobby Witt getting it right. Adam Frazier's been a decent addition for them from the offseason. So, obviously they called up, was it Jack Caglione, who was one of the top prospects in baseball, So his development could help that offense too. If they just get a little bit more pop in that lineup, they could be a very dangerous team.
Yeah, for me, we kind of said it in the beginning, but like it's the Detroit Tigers. Like,
Yeah.
when you talk about a guy like AJ Hinch and Spencer Torkelson having a freaking awesome year, we all know what Scooble's capable of doing. They really just have like right now they're on a tremendous run. I think they have 59 wins. If not, they're very, very good baseball team. That I think like you and I had it at the beginning of the season that they were going to be a threat in the AL. Jackson Jobe going down is not the best for them, but they have enough depth.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. He's been awesome. Their bullpen has been really well thought of. I think they're probably like top 5, top 6 in the MLB when it comes to the ERI and the bullpen. But I think what is astonishing to me is the competition in the AL Central. Like you mentioned before, Kansas City could go on a run, right? Minnesota Twins, they're more than capable of being in the mix, right? Cleveland Indians haven't not the best. Maybe Emmanuel Clase is on the move, which we'll get into momentarily. But you got to talk about the depth. You got to talk about the depth inside the standings, right? Inside AL East, AL Central, AL West. Like when you think of the AL West, like the Mariners are having a tremendous year. You have the Houston Astros that are always in the mix. You have the Texas Rangers who, are a couple of games under 500, but they're playing good ball. And so, like, surprising to me, if I was to take the surprising factor, is the Mariners. I think we understood how good their pitching was, and it kind of has like a little bit of ring to the Texas Rangers when they won the World Series back in 2023. And so it makes me think, like, are the Seattle Mariners that team that can take a team with the pitching that they have? For me, what I would focus with them is Cal Raleigh is probably not going to hit another 34 home runs at the All-Star at the end of the season, right? No. Julio Rodriguez, he's got to get hot at some point. Like they just don't have, and that's a huge problem right now. But what I would do if I was them is really focus on the depth, and this is something I want to get into as we kind of merged our way into MLB trade deadline, which is July 31st, is teams got to acknowledge the surplus of talent that they have, whether that's in the pitching side of things, whether that's the prospects, whether that's the outfield. They have to understand that depth could be used in value. It's like building a dynasty league, right? For like a football dynasty league. And what you have to acknowledge is if you have enough talent in one position, well, guess what? That there's a team out there that needs that position. So you go and utilize that value and you get tremendous return to make a run at it. And so I think Seattle has to do that, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think what Yandy Diaz is being talked about in the Tampa Bay Rays right now, I think, Feinstein had it. I can see him possibly being on the move. If he goes to Seattle, it might be a good fit. But Tampa Bay already has enough pitching, right? So they don't need pitching. They just need more hitters because, they have Aranda. They need more help. They absolutely need more help. And I think Arozarena would like a reunion with Yandy Diaz heading to Seattle, which could be in play. But I think they have to acknowledge that Cal Raleigh cannot bring them to contention alone. Like he can't. He's been doing it quite a while for himself in the first half. But I guess for you, what do you think about Seattle? Where do they stand?
Yeah, I mean, once again, I agree with you. I don't think Cal Raleigh is going to, obviously it's a very hard pace to keep up, especially at the position that he plays. But yeah, I think J-Rod has to be the guy that steps up. I don't really think I like him. I don't think he was really deserving of the All-Star selection. I think it was just a little bit more like the fans like him. He's a buzzworthy player.
Agreed.
Randy Rosarina, that means he's going to have to step up too. Where's his power going to come from? Those are your other two bats in the lineup. But yeah, I mean the rest of the lineup, it's they don't really produce a lot of runs. The Mariners are a team, and we talked about it in our preview show. Like if they can get to 4 runs a game, they're going to be in every game. The problem is they struggle. They struggle producing
struggle
runs.
immensely. Yeah.
They just don't have enough guys that consistently can get on base, drive in runs, like do the little things. I do want to mention, give the NL a little bit of shine here too. If we're talking about teams that may be a little bit overlooked, everyone talks about obviously, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Mets, their Phillies. They're very, obviously, those
Always
are the teams
in the
that
mix.
dominate the headlines and they're always in the mix. Yep. But since late May, the team with the best record in baseball isn't any of those teams, and it's not even the Detroit Tigers. It's the Milwaukee Brewers, and that was a team that coming into the year, you thought, all right, at the deadline, Peralta's probably going to be available. The Brewers, for whatever, I don't want to say whatever reason, Peralta's been great. He's the ace of the rotation. I don't think they can be sellers. I think if anything, they need to buy and they need to add a power bat. They just brought in Andrew Vaughn recently to fill in for Rhys Hoskins, who's gone down. They just have a lot of speed, and they sneaky produce runs. Like their guys get on base, Churio gets on. It seems like he's on, he gets a walk or a single. It seems like he's on third base before you know it. And then you got the same thing with Bryce Terang and Frelick. They just have so many guys near the top of that, all scattered throughout that lineup, especially in the top half where if, like Churio gets on, Terang gets on. Now the pitcher's already thinking about this guy's going to be going to swipe second. Now he's going to be swiping third. He's throwing over. He's already rattled. So I think the Brewers are a team that, if anything, they probably need to add a power bat. Like I said, they're interesting. I think they're very interesting. The back end of the bullpen, I don't think anyone, even a casual fan would probably struggle thinking of anyone out of their bullpen, but their bullpen's been surprisingly very good. I don't know if it's sustainable, but the Brewers are really hot, and they're one game out of first place in the Central. And I just feel like they always seem to put it together. Like now, granted, they never make a push. They're good at getting into the playoffs. Beyond that, there's a reason why Counsell was removed from Milwaukee. Now he's in Chicago. He just couldn't get over the hump. So we'll see what happens as the rest of the way.
It's not only that. It's not only that. He wanted to get paid. He's from Milwaukee. Yeah. He wanted to get paid. And Milwaukee was like, we're not giving you a fat contract. You could go to the Cubs and get your money. So that's what they did. But I think it was stupid because, you have a guy that's from that area. It's important to him. Winning's important, right? You're seeing it with the Cubs now, what he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
I understand that the talent that they have for sure. But when it comes to, a lot of talent, but managerial-wise, he has it. And so I thought that Milwaukee would come into this year and think like, oh, God, like we don't have our manager anymore. We had a stellar season last year. We're going to probably have some bumps in the road, but it just shows that, like, Jackson Churio is that dude, and he's leading that team in the right way possible. But Freddie Peralta, as you mentioned, Cy Young candidate, looking like a star in this league, especially this year. But he kind of has that, again, going back to the Texas Rangers thing, like Nathan Eovaldi, of when they won the World Series. It's kind of like him just leading that pack. And the funny part is, too, Ticket, is when you look at the Texas Rangers when they won the World Series, like, you legitimately had to look up these players because you had no idea who was on the freaking Rangers roster. Like, an average baseball fan could not name anybody on that team. With the Milwaukee Brewers, it's kind of the similar thing, right? Like, you had, Jackson Churio and Freddie Peralta and Sam Frelick, like I said, but then you have, with the Texas Rangers, Nathan Eovaldi, Corey Seager, and who else, right? So there's a lot of mixing and matching, going on with the AL and NL. For me, going back to the depth, I want to talk about, very quickly, we can get into the Sox talk and we can get into the Yankees talk. The Red Sox, this is my idea of accomplishing the deadline. I know there are going to be buyers. I just don't think that they're going to go after a guy like Joe Ryan. You're going to have to go tremendous amount of depth, and you have it for sure. You have it, but I just think it's a little bit of a steep price. I think a guy like Dylan Cease in San Diego, which I mentioned at the start of training camp, he's on an expiring contract. He's playing for a contract next year. Those guys like to play well, and they like to play well down the stretch. And if they get into playoff baseball, I think like the chemistry that him and Crochet have had in Chicago, it's a perfect match. And I think Duran you can ship off to San Diego, and it's a 1-for-1 deal. You don't have to spice it up and get creative with it. Duran is a guy that the Padres have always coveted. And if you want, you could actually gamble and say, like, hey, can you guys throw in a prospect? Because we're probably not going to get Dylan Cease because he's a Boras client in free agency. So you can kind of play that game if the Padres, which has been told by Sean, Rob Bradford, Sean McAdam, all these, Chris Cotillo, all these guys are throwing out there that the San Diego Padres are very much interested in Jarren Duran. So you got to relieve some outfield depth. You have Roman Anthony, who can play left. You have Ceddanne Rafaela, who's becoming a star, for the Red Sox. And what he's capable of doing down the stretch, clutch gene, being able to play A-plus defense in the outfield and center field. And then Wilyer Abreu, talk about Wilyer. I mean, that dude just knows how to play in big games as well. And even if he's on like a small little, rough patch, he finds a way out, and he finds a way out big time with his hitting of, home runs. And he's up there like almost close to 15 home runs on the year. So they have to acknowledge that when you have depth, you got to utilize that in value. And they need a true number 2 guy. I'm not buying into winning against the Nationals or the Rockies or, whatever crap team they play. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is playing against 1A, 1B, two type of tier teams in the AL and NL. And so they have the toughest schedule in the second half. They're coming out red hot against the Cubs, the Dodgers, Tigers. They have a whole bunch of teams in front of them. They play the Yankees quite soon. They're going to have to acknowledge that they don't have a number 2 starter. So they're going to have to get that depth. And also on the first base side of things, I can't imagine that Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro are going to keep pace at what they're doing right now, because with the mixing and matching with the left-handed and right-handed, I just believe that you need consistency at first base. And a guy for me would be Josh Naylor of Arizona. Arizona's having a freaking awful season. Torey Lovello, former Red Sox. He has a connection with the Red Sox. He could probably, understand who might be in the farm system that can make them, more enticing of a trade with Josh Naylor. Naylor having a hell of a year. He had a great year last year with 33 home runs. So I can eventually see them trying to get him into the mix and possibly use that depth to make more minor trades with the bullpen. So if I was in Craig Breslow's shoes, I'd be going for first base and starting pitching, which I think has been reported multiple times throughout the week. But I believe that pitching depth absolutely matters. And if Brian Bayo and Dick Fitz and Walker Buehler, if you can get some kind of contribution with those guys down stretch, hell of a season too. He's below a 3 ERA, the last 3 starts. In the last 20 games, too, I just want to mention it, and I'll flip it over to you for the Yankees. The last 20 games that the Red Sox have played, they have a 2.95 ERA. And so, again, they're hitting lightning in the bottle at the right time for sure, especially down the stretch heading into All-Star break. But they have to acknowledge, again, just like with the Seattle Mariners with Cal Raleigh, that won't keep up. That won't stay consistent. That's incredibly, unbelievably unsustainable. So I believe that they need a true number 2 guy, and the guy for me is Dylan Cease. So call it the Padres, give him Duran, see some return. See what happens with the free agent conversations with Scott Boras in the off. See what happens.
Yeah.
Your Yankees.
Yeah. So I mean, I think as disappointing as the ending of the first half of the season was, I'm still fairly optimistic. I mean, not to be a nerd, but I'm gonna be a nerd. I'm wearing glasses. I'm gonna play the part. Um,
Okay.
a lot of my friends, Shark asked me, the Yankees, you got to be nervous. You know, Boston's right on your heel. Toronto, Tampa, everybody is in the mix again in the American League. Not the Orioles, but everybody else is in there. They're nipping at the Yankees' heels. The Yankees are falling apart. They got a one-game, the lead over Boston. What's going on? I'm not too worried. I look at the numbers. The Yankees have the best run differential in the American League. They have the second best run differential in baseball. They have so many things that are right, and yet so many things are wrong. And there's no doubt, the starting pitching, I have concerns. Garrett Cole's not going to walk through those doors this season. Clark Schmidt is now out for the year. But there's some positives. Luis Gil, on rehab assignment recently, he'll be joining the team again. Some people might say, who's Luis Gil? Oh, I don't know. He was only the American League Rookie of the Year last season. Guy throws in the high 90s. Now, probably will, they're going to baby him a little bit when he, make sure he's right if he's going to come back, which I don't understand with. He's a young arm, talented arm, obviously. But adding him alone will be monumental for the Yankees. Rodon has been very good. Fried's been good if they stay consistent. A guy who's been better lately, I don't like him, but Marcus Stroman, since Schmidt has, gone down, he's pitched a bit better. I'm not saying rely on him, but he's improved. And if he can continue to improve, maybe we put him in the bullpen. I don't know. And then the rookie they called up, Cam Schlitter, in his debut, he struck out 7-8 guys, pitched really well against the Mariners. Got the win in his debut. So if I'm the Yankees, third base, obviously you got to address. You can't keep throwing out Oswald Peraza, whatever his name is. Eugenio Suarez is a name I've heard a lot.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
Well, I always get him and Oswaldo Cabrera confused because it's Oswaldo and sure. Oswald. So, yep. And I like Cabrera. He can play anywhere, infield, outfield. He's a great utility guy, great kid. The locker room loves him. So I don't want to disparage him. Oswaldo Cabrera, good. Oswald Peraza, not good. But yeah, the Yankees. There's talks of Eugenio Suarez. There's talks of a blockbuster deal. I'm hearing as today the Yankees and Diamondbacks doing something huge where the Yankees would bring back maybe Jalen Beeks, Merrill Kelly, or Zach Gallen and Suarez. I've also heard rumors that the Yankees, they know the bullpen's been bad. They're 20th in baseball with bullpen ERA, and it's been really bad lately. I've heard rumors of them going after Hensley from St. Louis, Ryan Hensley, who led the National League in saves last year. He's been an all-star twice in the last 3 years. I would certainly welcome that. The resurgence of Luke Weaver, former Cardinal, that's worked out pretty good for us. Wouldn't mind taking a flyer on Hensley. Not a flyer. He's signed to an $81 million contract over the next, I think, 5 or 6 years. So, but the Cardinals are looking to unload that contract supposedly. I would welcome taking that on. But immediately I would say bullpen help. Dennis Santana, a reunion with him. He was not a very good Yankee. He's been lights out with the Pirates, of course. That's how it goes. They leave New York, the bright lights are off of them, and then they pitch. They figure it out. But Dennis Santana's been great for the Pirates. Not walking anyone, doesn't give up a lot of doesn't really give up home runs, doesn't give up walks. I wouldn't mind bringing him back in. I don't think that'll cost too much in terms of trade assets. No. I would like to keep George Lombard Jr. and Spencer Jones moving forward unless we're talking about a huge blockbuster deal involving Paul Skeens where we have to give up everybody and their mother. But I would be fine with that.
It's not going to happen. But it's wishful thinking.
Yeah, we could throw Volpe in there. Take Volpe.
Throw Volpe in there, yeah, because he's been wonderful this year. Yeah. No, I think you're heading into the right area. I think Arizona, is probably a team that's willing to give up pieces, as I mentioned. So I wouldn't be shocked if, Gallen in the mix or Suarez is in the mix, for any AL team. And, not for nothing, but Tampa Bay always comes in quiet, right? And so, maybe they use some of their pitching depth in order to, acquire Suarez or, possibly acquire a big arm in Zach Gallen. Not that they need him, but to add a piece in order to fortify that pitching rotation, especially in a tough AL East. Toronto's not going anywhere. Toronto, I feel like, yes, they've had a great start of the season, but they will, I feel like, continue, probably to be around the second, maybe third, seed in the AL East. But I think the AL East comes down to the Red Sox and Yankees. And I think that the trade deadline is going to be monumental for both teams. If they can hit on their weakness and they can hit stride early on, arm like Hill coming back to you guys, and then Alex Bregman coming back to the Red Sox, those are two huge pieces that are added to that both respective teams and can make this a fun race for the AL East moving forward. So you like to see it. I think, it will reignite, I think, the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry in a way that it really hasn't, often as of late. I know Devers was always a guy that, used to hit bombs away, right? But at the end of the day, he's not on that team anymore, so it's a change of identity, change of shift. Carlos Navarez picked up by the Red Sox from the Yankees this past offseason, probably boils the crap out of the Yankees in regards to what he's doing right now for the Red Sox.
Yeah, not thrilled about it.
Not thrilled about it, but look at Aroldis Chapman again. He's hit stride in a Red Sox uniform.
Yeah,
which
it's
a lot of boss.
It's the clock will strike midnight for him, and he'll turn back into a pumpkin. Don't you worry.
I don't think so. I think his off-speed stuff is just really what's doing him well this year. He can throw gas, obviously. See, I was thinking that too, but I feel like if they were, 2 games, 3 games under 500 heading into the AL, All-Star game. The All-Star festivities. I don't think that the Red Sox are in any appetite to trade Chapman. I think when you get rid of a guy like Chapman, who's having one hell of a stellar season, and don't get it twisted, this guy was awful in Pittsburgh, and he was not good in Cincinnati. So if you're looking at exactly the Chapman that has been brought to the table in 2025 season, you got to keep him around. This guy's playing out of his mind. He has like a sub 3 ERA, sub 2 ERA, sorry. He just was obviously on the AL representation of the Red Sox in the All-Star game. When's the last time he hit the All-Star game? Yankees. So I have to imagine if you 37-year-old Chapman, yes, I get it. His level is certainly high, but I feel like the Red Sox don't need prospects. They don't need as much prospects. They need now guys. They need winning talent currently.
You're going to trade the password?
Yeah, I'd trade the password in a heartbeat. I would trade Mikey Romero. I would trade Peyton Tolley. I would trade throw out any name out there.
I will say there are scouts that think the password will be better than Meyer and Campbell for sure, and think that he's just as good as Roman Anthony in terms of his ceiling. There are scouts that think that he's he's got the potential to be like fringe all-star or like an all-star caliber player in this league.
I'm telling you right now, the core of Anthony and Meyer is not going to come close to the password. It may be close to Christian Campbell. I think Christian Campbell had high expectations. I don't think they did him right in bringing him up to start the year. You can see it. He's very raw. He needs a lot of experience. He needs to go get that experience and maybe change his position, in the infield to play possibly first base for years to come. But he's got to get right. They were speeding him all the way through the minor league system, and then it allowed him to get his opportunity with the Red Sox and get that contract signed. But what is it? 8 years, $64 million contract? Like, of course the Red Sox are going to give him that type of contract. Because, it's just like paying a guy in arbitration. It's like 2 times arbitration. Congratulations, you made $8 million per year. Yeah. Like, there's no knock on him, but he needs to understand that he needs more development. And I think the Red Sox are acknowledging that. I think that they put, like I said, too much on his plate at the start of the year. They have a guy in Bregman. They have a guy in Marcel Mayer that can play, the infield. Again, Roman Anthony coming up in tremendously, very fast, which people also thought, maybe Roman Anthony goes down as Bregman comes back, but that won't happen. And they're also open to moving Ceddanne Rafaela to second base, which I freaking would hate. Because here's the thing, very quickly, if Duran stays, that's exactly what's going to happen. Duran's going to play left. Roman Anthony's going to play center. Abreu's going to play right. Ceddanne Rafaela, who's a Gold Glove center fielder, playing out of his mind defensively, is going to move second base. And guess what? Versatility, flexibility, yes, he can get you by, but it's not the best position for your team. So I hope what happens is they trade one of their surplus outfielders, and they utilize that to go get pitching depth because it's much needed, more so than getting too creative and too cute, which they've done already with Christian Campbell, and have Ceddanne Rafaela stay in his position where he is dynamite, and just have him grow as a strong player on a 10-year contract with the Red Sox. So they at least going to get tougher, no doubt about it. The teams in that division have something to play for. Blue Jays always get creative at the deadline. They're always looking for something to lick their chops on.
Santander's coming back.
Santander's coming back, yep. So very quickly, what team needs to sell in your eyes?
I mean, Twins for sure. We already talked a little bit, or we haven't talked. You talked a little about Joe Ryan, Carlos Correa, Johan Duran. I think they're all expendable. Things have not gone the way that they certainly expected, especially with their moves. I think they're all expendable. Correa especially, like that, things have not worked out as hoped for the Rocco Baldelli-led Twins. So I think them, and then potentially the Braves.
I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say Duran gets traded to the Yankees. I hate that is possible.
As a flamethrower.
I think that is possible. The Yankees always like to do that. Everybody always like, oh, that got traded in the AL. Come on. They'll trade any team that gives them a top prospect. And I think the Phillies I think Duran. Yeah, go ahead.
I like the Phillies for him. He just looks like I like to do sometimes, Shark, the close your eyes test. You close your eyes, and you just try and picture it. And I look at Johan Duran, I close my eyes, and I see a Philly uniform.
Okay. Hey,
Dave
Dombrowski. Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez, you close your eyes, I see Rays. Not Yankees, unfortunately, but he looks like a Ray.
He does look like a Ray. But here's the thing about Suarez. He plays third base. Yeah, they already have Junior Caminero.
I know.
They don't need
But he can play first, too. But they got Aranda.
Yeah, but then they got Yandy Diaz.
And Yandy. Yeah, Yandy, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. No,
Yandy, sorry.
I got Aranda.
Talk about the Braves. I agree with you. Chris Sale having a hell of a year, right? All-Star again. They have Ronald Acuna, who obviously could be probably had with a huge package if a team's willing to do it. Don't see the Braves doing that, but Marcell Ozuna is another piece that they can absolutely have discussions on. I can say it with confidence that an AL East team is going to be licking their chops for Ozuna. If there's any DH that are a great hitter that can become a DH, it's Ozuna. And Ozuna is a guy that I would absolutely target if I am a contender, especially with the Braves. They're looking to trade off pieces. Why not? Right?
Bummer and Iglesias, I think, too.
Iglesias,
Of the bullpen.
yes. Yes. Yeah, and so like the Braves are a team which is surprising to me that has come to this point, but they are a team that may have to do a quick reboot, right? Was it Spencer Strider's coming off a serious injury? They absolutely need pitching depth. Their offense really hasn't been consistent enough.
Michael Harris, huge disappointment.
Yeah, Harris has been awful, but they do have the potential. And that's the thing that they're riding on is potential. So they got to get off that soapbox and figure out what they actually need moving forward to sustain a confident franchise in the Atlanta area. So with the Braves, there's a lot of moving parts. Diamondbacks, which we got into. I feel like the Diamondbacks are a team. And the Padres. The Padres are a team that has been constantly thinking about getting rid of salary. You think about Xander Bogaerts and what they shed out. You think about Manny Machado and what he has, $35+ million, right? You got a very young pitcher in King, who shout out to him, Rhode Island native, Bishop Hendricken. But I look at the Padres and I see talent on that roster that I think guys need a second wind. The guys need a change of scenery and go and play for a contender that can actually, play October baseball at a high level, within the atmosphere and environment that they're currently in. And the Phillies too. I think the Phillies are probably looking some of their chops at the San Diego Padres and what they have to offer. So if I had to guess, David Dombrowski's probably like, hey, let's do a deal. Let's make this happen. So I think the Padres are a team that needs to sell off pieces too. And just to, I guess, finish the trade deadline talk, Seattle, again, utilize your pitching depth and go get those bats. Find a way to get a big bat under Cal Raleigh so he doesn't have to do everything because Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod's not having the best year. Let's hope they figure that out. So, with that being said, we got to talk about, very quickly, the ESPYs.
Okay.
Very quickly. Shane Gillis coming out red hot.
Great job last night.
Red hot. I mean, that dude just knows how to put on a show. Like, he is crazy, crazy good at putting people in the most vulnerable positions. Yeah, like SGA. That SGA joke got me laughing incredibly. Like
he had a lot of good ones last night. I thought he was great, and I hate that the reaction from the audience was, that. Listen, I get it. Like a lot of the, it's ESPN, and a lot of their personalities now certainly shift one way, a certain way. I think in their, not to get political, but like, I think there's a big difference in the type of humor Shane Gillis and his audience, what his audience is, versus the live crowd that was there last night. A lot of the athletes and the personalities that are at ESPN and in the sports world. I think it's just a huge shift. But the consumer, the people watching and sports fans tend to, I would say, be more aligned with Shane Gillis's comedy. If I had to guess, the average guy who's watching sports and works a 9 to 5 and Shane Gillis is for them. So
need some.
I think it was a home run. I think he did a great job. The Belichick joke was hilarious. He reads her a bookie at night, or the bookie reference with the Belichick, and then the going to Sirianni. And he's an Eagles fan, so he could probably get away with it a little bit more. But the whole bit with the how coming up with a tush push, and then he goes to Sirianni. Is like, wow, must be some football genius to come up with such a brilliant play. He was taking shots at everybody, and that's what a comedians do.
Anthony Towns joke, was that was hilarious.
The Caitlin Clark one.
Just yeah, the Caitlin Clark one was great. That it was a highlight reel. But there were some that kind of questionable, right?
Like the Caitlin Clark one.
Yeah, I felt like that. But yeah, we're not here to talk about that one. I will
The Deshaun
say
Watson
though,
one, maybe. That was a little.
yeah,
That definitely made people uncomfortable.
yes. So my wife was not a fan of the football pick because she's big on Lamar Jackson. She likes Lamar Jackson, and I know how it goes, right? It's just like sometimes it's all about the publicity, game, the personal factor, the popularity contests. That's really what it is. But Lamar Jackson is a baller. He's one of the best athletes in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I tend to agree with her. Also, when you look at SGA and what type of year he had, oh my goodness. When you look at also when SB, I know SBs weren't common, especially in Michael Jordan days. Kobe Bryant, RIP. In his playing days, the SBs were not, popular at that time. But to add the SBs to your resume in regards to 1 year and what he has done is just, it's uncanny. Well, we will probably never see this happen again. I know like LeBron's in the mix, Jokic is in the mix. But I think what SGA put on this year was an absolute show. And I think it was documented in history as one of the best, players of for a single season in the NBA all time. And so, when you look at SGA and what he's capable of doing, does he have the ability to do it again? Probably not, right? But I will say this year, watching SGA and what he did for the Oklahoma City Thunder was just impeccable. I don't think it can be touched in what regards to what he did and the impact that he had for his team. But he deserves all the credit and his flowers, with what he was capable of bringing to the table in 2025, in the regular season, in the playoffs, and postseason with the SBs. It's just, it's an uncanny ability to do that. It really is. And also to get those guys paid. J Dubs gets paid. Chet Holmgren gets paid. Like, talk about a team player. Talk about where, guys want big dollars. Guys want super max deals, max deals, wherever it is, right? Chet Holmgren getting $30+ million. J Dubs getting $35+ million. SGA getting over 60 to $70 million a season. Like,
he's going to average almost $1 million a game if he plays a full 82 games. So yeah, it's like 72 million or something.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. So I just love that season for him. Again, good karma, right, for OKC and what they're building with Sam Presti. He's seen it. They went through hell, with Russell Westbrook and Paul George, and they turned it around, and they got a hell of a lot of picks. What was it, 14 picks in the next 4 seasons, like first rounders? Like, that's crazy to me. So that's a real good job of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and so I just wanted to touch upon SGA because what he did this year was just it was unreal. It was unreal.
Yeah, I mean, only the 4th time we've ever seen someone complete the trifecta of NBA MVP, scoring title, and Finals MVP. So,
yep.
And the fact that he did it, he's going to be he's 25 years old. Like you said, the young nucleus around him making everybody better. I don't know. It's such an underwhelming because I feel like it's not talked about enough. Like if it was LeBron, Kobe, who just completed that, I feel like it'd be discussed more. I think the market, obviously, the Thunder are not a huge market in Oklahoma City, and there's nothing that like they're not like if a basketball purist, they're fun to watch because they play the right way, but they're not like the
Yeah.
most exciting like team in
Flashiest
terms of
team.
like cachet and things
Yeah.
like that. They just go to
Yeah.
work, do their job. Shea
They
just
ball.
he's
Yeah.
he's as quiet as an unassuming like superstar that we've seen in the league for, and especially like being a guard and as flashy as he's quick, dynamic, can score any which way, and he's just so humble and he defers to his
See,
teammates a lot, and
yeah. But
yeah,
you gotta
he's a great
respect
player. He's a
that. Like
great
that
player.
I love that. I think it's refreshing. I think when guys like are all up in your face on commercials and Sports Center and ESPN showing these guys left and right, I think it's just sometimes overwhelming and overbearing. Where, with SGA, and he's still so young. He did play for Kentucky, right? Big blue school.
Crazy
So
that he did
like
not
when you look
start
at
right
it,
away either. He came off the bench
yeah,
and he as a
came
freshman.
off the bench. Yeah. So like I acknowledge that greatness in a different light because he wasn't like the Showtime. He wasn't the guy that everybody had eyes on. That thought like he's an immediate MVP, he's an immediate NBA contender, NBA champion. Like nobody thought that, right? And OKC came out red hot at the start of the season. It continued throughout the
Yeah,
playoffs.
everyone
And
was waiting
so
for them to
like
fall,
SG
and they didn't.
yeah, they didn't. They didn't. But like again, him being from a small market team, him being humble, quiet, I just love that factor. I think that's like just very overlooked. It's really truly like a rarity when it comes to the NBA. We talk about it's a players league, right? Nobody cares about the teams. It's a players league. But with SGA, he kind of changed that complexion, and so I really like I really like what he did this year in terms of making his game do the talking, and I hope we see more of that. I really do. I don't want like
I think we
James
have.
Harden getting his flowers for what being fat and shooting threes. Like, it's like
I,
I want to make sure guys that have true NBA talent that are more than capable of leading their teams get the flowers that they deserve. And it's not all about the hype train. It's all about what you put on the court. I think that
yeah.
that should never get
I,
overlooked.
I think we have seen it recently. I mean, not to get like on too much of a tangent, but like you look at the Milwaukee Bucks when they won with Giannis a few years ago, and Giannis is like this humble, almost like aw shucks, like overseas superstar, and it's like he goes, it's kind of like infamous like through the circles of like if you're in the NBA bubble or circles of social media, but like the Gilbert Arenas podcast where he had who was it? Jeff Teague on, and Jeff Teague was like, "Yeah, I was on like there was no big celebration. Like Giannis, we won the title, and like Giannis is like, all right, I'm going home, and like Giannis is the guy. So
I'm going
if
home.
if he's going home, like we're not doing anything. Like we didn't go out and party, we didn't go to Vegas and pop bottle. It was just all right. It was like for winning a title, there was nothing crazy. And then the next day, Giannis is at the drive-through at Chick-fil-A ordering his nugget, the 40-piece nuggets with the Sprite, no ice, like, and
Yep.
he's just,
Right. Yep.
it's unassuming superstar. Joker, kind of a quiet, unassuming. He's not this, obviously he's in your face with how he plays, but like his personality, it's not like that. And then, I would go back to even Kawhi and not that with Toronto and that run. Now, obviously, since then, Kawhi, we've seen how like he's. I don't want to like give him his flowers in that regard, but he is a quiet superstar who that doesn't. He's not flashy. He's not. He's got his own issues for sure. I'm not saying like he's like the class act leader or anything, but he is a
Right.
quiet star that like went about his business and just did his job, and he was a leader, but did it quietly. And we think of like our and in that league especially, you think of like the transcendent stars, and they all have like this flashy, like controlled swagger, arrogance, like Kobe and AI and Shaq and like the stars that we grew up with, Jordan obviously, like they had the swagger and
They're
confidence, but you
arrogant.
respected it, and you knew like, all right, that's my guy because of like he just owns it. He's got that it factor, and you don't get it in the same way with like some of these stars that we've seen win recently. Tatum is another great example of that.
Yeah, I think it's I agree with Tatum, but I think it's more about I wouldn't say that guys don't like they're just good at what they do, right? They're just so efficient. They know they're good, right? And so they just love the game of basketball. So I know like I can't hate on that, right? I do agree with you where, sometimes I wish there was more personality. I wish, guys were like screaming and getting in guys' face. It's more of a fraternity league now, right? But I will say that this playoffs and previous years as well, as you mentioned, yeah, I can. When you think of it, I guess guys are more humble this year and in years past where it was more so in like the early 2000s where it was like all up in your face. Like, Kobe wanted to beat down his opponent right when he stepped on the court, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to kill his opponent. And Ime Udoka did this to Kawhi Leonard too when he was in San Antonio because, Kawhi was very, very casual, very humble, very, very soft. And I think with the Miami Heat is when he started getting his identity, focusing more on being that dog and that killer on the court when Ime Udoka told him that. And then kind of spelled over to Jason Tatum in regards to, having that, I guess, dog mentality again. Like he talked about him doing the same thing with Kawhi. Like you kind of have to open up that door, but that energy and that arrogance, the cockiness, the confidence, like it stays in the white lines. It really doesn't come outside the white lines. So
Yeah.
I think that's something that you kind of miss with the swaggerness, like you mentioned with AI. Like, he was a boss, right? He loved to, have that swagger, and Shaq would like tell people how it is, and Michael Jordan would tell people that, I just had sex with your mom last night. Like there'd be things where like guys would throw jabs, like
Garnett.
what was it?
Garnett was a shit talker.
Kevin Garnett. Yeah, Kevin Garnett with Carmelo Anthony and the Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios comment, right? And so like there are guys that like to get in opponent's head, but I think the guy that fits well for early 2000s and late 90s is Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks loves to like be a feisty dude and get in people's faces and Draymond as well. So yeah. I agree with that full-heartedly, but I love how we go on a tangent with the NBA. We're talking diamond all night here. It's just the way the name is with Shark Sports Radio. So, Ticket, we got to show off the hobby of the week. We always conclude our show talking about the hobby of the week. So I'll hand it off to you, and then I'll take the reins.
All right. Now, I am cheating a little bit because I got 2 this week, but
all right.
Shark, we didn't talk about the biggest news since we last recorded. The New York Jets signing their cornerstone for young franchise players and Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. So to commemorate that, I have a Sauce Gardner RPA.
Yeah.
PSA 9. It's got the
PSA
2-color
9.
jersey,
Okay.
green and white, and he signed it in green too. So that's pretty cool. Little RPA there. And then Garrett Wilson, numbered out of 25, on-card auto, playoff contenders rookie card.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So shout out Garrett Wilson, shout out Sauce Gardner for being a part of the Jets for a few more years. I'm sorry, but I love you guys, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, give him his due. I like Garrett Wilson. I do. I can't knock him. He's an Ohio State guy. My dad's a big fan of Ohio State. That all that guy did was ball out with Ohio State. But I think that he's a Jet, right? So we're in the same division. I can respect him. I wish he was on my team.
You wish Tyreek Hill had the attitude that Garrett Wilson did.
Oh, really? Got it. Take notice of that. All right. So we are talking about this card. It's in my room. I can't get it. because
That's all right.
Can you see it? Can you see it?
Oh, I
It's
do see
Cedar
it's a Saddam
Raphael.
Raphael. That's actually a really nice patch. Got the part of the E in the jersey, looks like.
Yeah, and it's
Very nice.
numbered out of 99.
And is that
Clean
National
auto.
Treasures product?
It's a National Treasures product.
Ooh,
Yep.
very good product, National
So
Treasures.
I thoroughly have enjoyed picking this guy up because what he's done for the Red Sox as of late with the clutch gene. $40, you can't beat it. This was a while back, but it's in my room. So I'm not in my room. I'm in my wife's lovely
Shark,
office, as
Shark.
you can tell by
Yeah,
the
Mr.
great
Mr. Shark's
wallpaper.
office.
Yeah. If I'm so glad my mic was not hot when my internet went out because I was freaking out. Because I was like, great, we're going live, and all of a sudden, 5 minutes in, this thing wants to shut off. So,
Hey,
kudos to everybody staying in with us and chiming in, tuning in. I'm hoping we can develop some kind of chat box for people to discuss.
comment,
You can always
ask
comment,
questions.
on X and give us questions and maybe develop some 5 questions. We have a segment called 5 questions, so we're excited to utilize that moving forward. But definitely, if anybody's new to Ticket and I know this is like our first live podcast besides last week, but we're gonna continue this. We usually do bring on authors to talk about their stories and the books they've written in regards to the translation of how the sports world is today, how it's relatable. We've had tons of guys on from top to bottom, great writers. Magic Johnson's autobiographer, Michael Jordan's autobiographer. We've had Bo Jackson's autobiographer on. We've had quite a few writers, which we will, most certainly shout them out on the next page turners. But we're gonna continue that as we kind of head towards the dog days of summer. Yes, we got the baseball side of things to talk about here and there, catch you up to date, on a weekly basis. But we're gonna flip it back over to bringing some writers on, talking up shop, their books and what they represent. And so I'm really excited to do that. Any athletes, coaches, players, you guys want to come on and talk about, your life, your, outside of the lines. You want to talk about your regular season in regards to how capable you guys are winning the most coveted championship there is in your respective leagues. We will absolutely take you on. So I cannot wait to continue this. We're going to put on a show. We look forward to next week. Look forward to more shows. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Ticket, for joining me tonight as always. Every single show, we love it. We will continue it. Please, everyone, use the promo code Shark Sports on Underdog and take full advantage. You can use MLB and NBA. NBA Summer League is
UFC
tipping
too.
off tonight for the Celtics. Yeah, UFC, whatever your heart desires. Golf, even. God, they had a
British
great
Open
line
weekend.
for the golf. Yep.
British Open
Yeah.
weekend.
Real quick, who do you got winning? Who do you got winning?
Ooh, so I swear I have it. I took Matthew Fitzpatrick pre-tournament at 60-1.
Wow.
So I would like him to win, but
Nice.
I don't know. It's hard to. Rory played all right today. I would like to see Rory in the mix. It's hard to not see Scotty Scheffler in the mix. Obviously, he's going to be there. My surprise pick, if I had to go outside of like Rory or Scotty, Terrell Hatton.
Hatton's always in the mix, dude. He's always finishing top 5 in the biggest tournaments. I mean, in the Masters, he's always,
He's sneaky.
there. U.S. Open, he plays well. Yeah, he's always there on Sunday, and he always loves to give it a run. Colin Morikawa, always in the mix, right? But I know he's a little bit uncertainty right now. But I do like Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler. Those guys just know how to play in big-time tournaments. But, hey, let's – you know what, crowd? Let's root for Ticket to get Matt Fitzpatrick his earnings and his winnings. And that way he can put it towards more hobby of the weeks.
That's right.
Again, thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Ticket, pleasure.
Likewise.
right. That went well. That went well.
Nope. Oh, there you are.
Oh, what the fuck's going on with this?
I think
We're
I
not
got
live
the,
anymore, are we?
it's
We're still
live.
fucking live?